Hey, you like clowning around in that thing, huh? By the way, a lot of people buy those online and fake it, especially people like you. So I'm gonna need you to show me some ID.
I ain't faking anything. And there ain't no law says I gotta show you my ID. I'm a United States Marine, sir.
This decorated Marine officer had no idea that one gas station stop would land a corrupt cop behind bars for 10 years. Lieutenant Jaylen Brooks pulled into a Shell station off Interstate 40 just outside Memphis. He was in his dress blues, fresh back from a ceremony at Quantico. 25 years old, sharp, confident, a man who'd earned every ribbon on his chest. Before we continue, let me take this opportunity to thank you so much for supporting our channel. Just choosing to watch our video means a lot to us. Before we go any further, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if this is your first time here. Officer Gerald Hutchins was filling his cruiser 2 pumps over, 50 years old, 28 years on the force, a man with a reputation, not the good kind. He saw Jaylen step out of his car and something shifted in his face. He stared, hard, then he started walking over. Jaylen didn't notice at first. He was swiping his card at the pump when Gerald's shadow fell across him. "Excuse me." Jaylen looked up, saw the badge, the uniform, the expression. "Yes, officer?" Gerald crossed his arms. "Where'd you get that uniform?" Jaylen blinked. "I'm sorry?" "The uniform. Where'd you buy it?" There was no confusion in Gerald's tone, just accusation. Jaylen straightened. He wasn't nervous, just insulted. "I didn't buy it anywhere. I earned it." Gerald smirked. "Sure you did. I'm a lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps, 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines. I just came from a commendation ceremony in Virginia." Gerald shook his head slowly, like he'd heard it all before. "You look like a clown playing dress-up. I've seen guys like you. Order the uniform online, walk around pretending. Stolen valor. That's a federal crime." Jaylen's jaw tightened. His voice stayed calm, but there was steel in it now. "I have my military ID, my orders, my service record. Everything you need is in my wallet." "I'll be the judge of that." Gerald wasn't asking, he was deciding, and Jaylen could feel it. This wasn't about proof, it was about something else, something older, something uglier. "Officer, I don't know what this is about, but I'm not some kid you can bully. I've served 3 tours, I've led men in combat, I've bled for this country, so before you keep disrespecting me, maybe check your facts." Gerald's face went red, not embarrassment, anger. "You got a mouth on you." "I've got the truth on me." "Turn around, hands behind your back." Jaylen didn't move. For what? Impersonating a military officer. Disorderly conduct, resisting. "I haven't resisted anything. You are now." The body cam on Gerald's chest was recording everything, every word, every movement, every choice, and it would destroy him. Gerald stepped closer, close enough that Jaylen could smell the coffee on his breath. "I said turn around." Jaylen didn't flinch. He'd faced worse than this, men with guns who actually wanted him dead. This was just a man with a badge and a chip on his shoulder. "Officer, I'm going to reach for my wallet, slowly. My military ID is inside. My orders are in my car. You can verify everything in under 2 minutes. Gerald's hand moved to his belt, not his gun, his cuffs. "I'm not asking again." Jaylen held his ground. His voice was calm but firm, the kind of voice that commanded Marines under fire. "My name is Lieutenant Jaylen Alexander Brooks, service number 2250678. I'm stationed at Camp Lejeune. My commanding officer is Colonel Patricia Hernandez. You can call her right now." "I don't need to call anyone. I can see what's in front of me." "And what's that?" Gerald's lip curled. Some punk who thinks a costume makes him special. Jaylen's hands stayed at his sides, visible, non-threatening, but his words came faster now, sharper. "This isn't a costume. These are my dress blues. That's a Navy Cross ribbon. You know what that is? 2nd highest decoration for valor. I got it in Helmand Province pulling 2 Marines out of a burning Humvee while taking enemy fire. So before you call me a punk, you'd better be ready to back that up." Gerald didn't care, or maybe he did and that made it worse. "All I see is a guy who bought some medals online and thought he could walk around getting respect he didn't earn." "Then look at my ID." "IDs can be faked. So can integrity, but here we are." That did it. Gerald grabbed Jaylen's arm hard. Jaylen pulled back, not violently, just enough to break the grip. "Don't
touch me. You're resisting arrest. I'm resisting illegal detention. There's a difference. A woman at the next pump had her phone out now, recording. Gerald didn't notice or didn't care. Last chance. Hands behind your back or I will put you on the ground. Jaylen looked him dead in the eye. You're making a mistake. No, you made the mistake, thinking you could play dress-up in my town. Your town? That's right. Jaylen let out a breath. Not fear, frustration. He'd fought for this country, bled for it, and now he was being treated like a criminal at a gas station in Tennessee. Officer Hutchins, Jaylen read the name tag. I'm going to remember that name. Gerald smiled. It wasn't friendly. Good, so you know who arrested you. He yanked Jaylen's arm again. This time, Jaylen didn't resist. He turned around, let Gerald cuff him, but he kept talking. This is on camera. Your body cam, her phone. Every word you've said, every accusation, it's all recorded. Good means I've got evidence. Yeah, you do. Gerald walked Jaylen to the cruiser, shoved him toward the back seat. Not hard enough to be assault, but hard enough to make a point. You know what I think? Gerald said as he opened the door. I think you're one of those guys who thinks putting on a uniform makes you untouchable, like you're better than everyone else. Jaylen sat down in the back seat, looked up at Gerald through the open door. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I just know I'm better than you. Gerald slammed the door. The body cam kept rolling.
Gerald got in the driver's seat, didn't say a word, just started the engine and pulled out of the gas station. Jaylen sat in the back, cuffed, calm. His mind was already 3 steps ahead. You know this is going to blow up in your face, Jaylen said. Gerald glanced in the rearview mirror. Keep talking. Makes my report easier. Your report? You mean the one where you arrested a decorated Marine for wearing his own uniform? The one where I arrested a fraud. Jaylen leaned back. He wasn't scared, he was angry, but he'd learned a long time ago that anger without control was useless. I've got my DD-214 in my glove compartment, my service record, discharge papers, commendation letters, everything. You left my car at that gas station without even checking. I'll have it towed. We'll search it at the station. Good, please do. And when you find everything I just told you, what's your next move? Gerald's jaw clenched. He didn't answer. You know what I think? Jaylen continued. I think you saw a young black man in a Marine uniform and decided he couldn't possibly have earned it. I think you made up your mind before you even spoke to me. You don't know what I think. I know exactly what you think. I've met men like you my whole life. In school, in the Corps, in every town I've ever been stationed. You're not special, you're just loud. Gerald's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. You talk a lot for someone in cuffs. I talk a lot because I'm right, and you know it. That's why you're angry. They pulled into the station parking lot. Gerald parked, got out, opened Jaylen's door and pulled him out rougher than necessary. Watch your step, Gerald said. Fake concern, real malice. Jaylen stood tall. Even in cuffs, he had a presence. People in the parking lot stared. A Marine in dress blues being walked into a police station like a criminal. It didn't look right, because it wasn't. Inside, the desk sergeant looked up. His name tag read Morrison. He was younger, maybe 30. He saw Jaylen and his face changed. Hutch, what's this? Stolen valor, impersonating an officer. Morrison stood up, walked around the desk. He looked at Jaylen's uniform, the ribbons, the insignia. His eyes went to the Navy Cross. Sir, are you Lieutenant Jaylen Brooks, 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines? And yes, this is real. Morrison looked at Gerald. Did you check his ID? He's lying. Did you check? Gerald's face went red again. I don't need to check. I can see. You can see what? A Marine in uniform? Because that's what I see. Jaylen spoke up. His voice was respectful but firm. Sergeant Morrison, my military ID is in my wallet. My orders and service record are in my vehicle, which Officer Hutchins left at a Shell station off I-40. I've been cooperative. I've offered proof multiple times. He refused. Morrison turned to Gerald. Where's his wallet? Gerald pulled it from his pocket, tossed it on the desk. Morrison opened it, pulled out the military ID, looked at it, looked at Jaylen, looked at Gerald.
Hutch, this is real. IDs can be faked. This isn't fake. Look at the hologram, the embossing. This is DOD issued. Gerald crossed his arms. So he's got a good fake. Morrison's face hardened. You need to uncuff him, now. He resisted. He resisted an illegal detention. There's a difference. Jaylen almost smiled. Someone finally got it. Morrison looked at Jaylen. Sir, I apologize. This is not your fault, Jaylen said, but it is his. Gerald still hadn't moved. Morrison stepped closer to him. Uncuff him. That's an order. He's under arrest. For what? Being black in a uniform? The room went silent. Other officers had gathered now, watching, listening. The body cam on Gerald's chest was still recording, every second, every word. Gerald finally moved. He uncuffed Jaylen, rough, angry, like he was the victim. Jaylen rubbed his wrists, looked at Morrison. I want to file a complaint, and I want that body cam footage preserved. Morrison nodded. Absolutely. I'll get the captain. Gerald turned to leave. Jaylen's voice stopped him. Officer Hutchins? Gerald turned around. You called me a clown, said I looked like I was playing dress-up. You accused me of stealing valor in front of witnesses, on camera. I just want you to know, I'm not letting this go. Gerald's face was stone, but his eyes said everything. He knew.
Captain Vincent Shaw walked into the room 10 minutes later. Mid-40s, 20 years on the force. He'd seen a lot, but the look on his face said this was different. He looked at Jaylen, at the uniform, at the ribbons, then at Gerald. My office, now. Gerald followed him. The door closed. Jaylen could hear raised voices through the walls. Not words, just tone, anger, disbelief. Morrison brought Jaylen a chair, a bottle of water. Sir, I'm sorry, this shouldn't have happened. Jaylen sat down, took the water. How long has he been like this? Morrison hesitated. Like what? You know what I mean. Morrison looked around, made sure no one else was listening. There've been complaints. Nothing that stuck, but yeah, he's got a reputation. For what? For seeing what he wants to see, and not seeing what he doesn't. Jaylen understood. It wasn't just about him. It was about everyone who looked like him. Everyone Gerald had pulled over, arrested, harassed for years. How many complaints? I don't know the exact number, but enough that most of us don't ride with him anymore. And he's still on the street? Morrison didn't answer. He didn't have to. Captain Shaw's door opened. Gerald walked out. His face was tight. He didn't look at Jaylen, just walked straight to his desk, started typing. Shaw came over to Jaylen, extended his hand. Lieutenant Brooks, I'm Captain Shaw. I apologize on behalf of this department. What happened today was unacceptable. Jaylen shook his hand, firm, professional. I appreciate that, Captain, but an apology isn't enough. I understand. I've already started the internal review process. Officer Hutchins is suspended pending investigation. His body cam footage will be preserved as evidence. I want a copy of that footage. You'll get it, along with a full report. Jaylen stood. He was taller than Shaw, taller than most men in the room. Captain, with respect, I've heard this before. Internal review, pending investigation. It usually means nothing happens. Shaw's face didn't change. Not this time. Why should I believe you? Because I watched the footage, all of it, and what I saw was an officer abusing his authority, making assumptions based on race, ignoring evidence, violating your rights. That's not police work. That's prejudice. Jaylen studied him, trying to figure out if this was real or just damage control. What happens next? I've contacted your command. Colonel Hernandez is aware. She's not happy. The footage goes to the district attorney. They'll determine if criminal charges are warranted, and you're free to file a civil suit against Officer Hutchins and the department. I'm filing both. Shaw nodded. That's your right. Gerald was watching from across the room. His face was red. His hands were shaking. Not fear, rage. The kind that comes when someone who thought they were untouchable realizes they're not. Jaylen walked over to him, slow,
deliberate. Every officer in the room watched. He stopped at Gerald's desk, looked down at him. "You wanted to know where I got my uniform. I got it at Paris Island after 13 weeks of training that would have broken you in 3 days. I got these ribbons in Helmand Province, in Fallujah, in places where people tried to kill me, and I didn't have the luxury of a badge to hide behind. I earned every single thing I'm wearing, and you tried to take it away from me because you didn't think I deserved it." Gerald stared at his computer screen, wouldn't meet his eyes. "Look at me." Gerald didn't move. "I said, look at me." Slowly, Gerald turned. His eyes were full of hate, but also something else, fear. "You're done," Jaylen said quietly. "Not because I'm going to ruin you, but because you ruined yourself. Every word you said, every choice you made, it's all on that camera. And now the whole world is going to see exactly who you are." Gerald's jaw worked, like he wanted to say something, but there was nothing left to say. Jaylen walked towards the door. Morrison followed. "Lieutenant, we'll give you a ride back to your vehicle, and again, I'm sorry." Jaylen stopped, looked back at the room, at Gerald, at Shaw, at all the officers who'd watched it happen. Sorry doesn't fix anything. Action does. He walked out. Behind him, Gerald sat at his desk, suspended, humiliated, recorded. The body cam footage was already being uploaded to the internal server. Within 48 hours, it would be everywhere.
The footage hit the local news first, then regional, then national. Within 72 hours, everyone had seen it. Gerald Hutchins accusing a decorated Marine of stolen valor, calling him a clown, refusing to check his ID, arresting him at a gas station for the crime of wearing his own uniform. The internet exploded. Veterans groups condemned it. Civil rights organizations demanded action. The Marine Corps released a statement supporting Jaylen. His face was on every major news network, not as a victim, as a hero who'd been treated like a criminal. The Memphis Police Department tried to get ahead of it, released their own statement, announced Gerald's suspension, promised a thorough investigation, but it wasn't enough. People wanted accountability, real accountability. The FBI opened a civil rights investigation. Federal prosecutors got involved. They pulled Gerald's file, his arrest records, his complaints, and they found a pattern. 12 excessive force complaints over 15 years, 7 accusations of racial profiling, 3 lawsuits settled quietly by the city, all buried, all ignored, until now. Jaylen hired a lawyer, a good one, former JAG officer named Patricia Simmons. She'd handled cases like this before. She knew how to fight. She filed a civil suit against Gerald in the Memphis Police Department, sought damages for false arrest, violation of civil rights, emotional distress, and defamation. The amount wasn't disclosed, but it was significant. The department tried to settle quietly, offered Jaylen money to make it go away. He refused. "This isn't about money," he told reporters outside the courthouse. "This is about accountability. This is about making sure no one else has to go through what I went through." The criminal case moved faster than anyone expected. The body cam footage was damning. Gerald's own words convicted him. The jury didn't take long. 10 counts, civil rights violations, false arrest, deprivation of rights under color of law, each one a felony. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Gerald's lawyer argued he was just doing his job, that he had reasonable suspicion, that Jaylen was aggressive and uncooperative. The jury watched the footage, listened to Jaylen's testimony, heard from other victims, people Gerald had harassed over the years, black men, Latino men, anyone who didn't fit his idea of what belonged in his town. One man testified that Gerald had pulled him over 11 times in 2 years, never issued a ticket, just stopped him, searched his car, made him wait on the side of the road, for nothing. A woman testified that Gerald had arrested her son for walking home from school, said he matched a description. The description was black male, average height. Her son was 15. The pattern was clear.
Gerald didn't see people, he saw threats, and his badge gave him the power to act on his prejudice. When Jaylen took the stand, the courtroom was silent. He spoke clearly, calmly, described every moment, every word, every feeling. "I've been shot at," he said. "I've had bombs go off 10 feet from me. I've seen friends die. But standing in that gas station, being accused of faking my service, being called a clown by a man who's never served anything but his own ego, that hurt in a different way. Because I was home, in my own country, wearing the uniform I bled for, and I was treated like I didn't belong." The prosecutor asked him one final question. "Lieutenant Brooks, what do you want from this case?" Jaylen looked at Gerald, then at the jury. "I want people to know that a badge doesn't make you right. It makes you responsible. And when you abuse that responsibility, there have to be consequences." The jury deliberated for 6 hours, found Gerald guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 10 years, federal prison, no parole eligibility for 8. Gerald stood there, stone-faced, but his hands shook. The civil suit settled 3 weeks later. The city paid Jaylen $20,000, not because they wanted to, because their lawyers told them they'd lose worse if it went to trial. Jaylen donated half of it to a legal defense fund for people wrongly arrested, kept the rest for his future. He wasn't rich, but he was vindicated. Captain Shaw personally delivered the settlement check, shook Jaylen's hand. "I meant what I said. This department is better without him." Jaylen nodded. "Make sure it stays that way."
Jaylen went back to Camp Lejeune 2 months after the trial. Life moved on, but he was different now. Not broken, stronger. He gave talks at veteran organizations, spoke at police academies about what good policing looked like, shared his story, not for sympathy, but for change. "That day at the gas station changed me," he told a room full of recruits in Atlanta. "Not because I was arrested, but because I realized how many people go through worse and don't have a uniform to protect them, don't have a rank, don't have resources. They just have to survive it and hope someone believes them." The recruits listened. Some looked uncomfortable. Good. They should be. "You're going to have power," Jaylen continued. "A badge, a gun, authority. And some of you are going to meet people who look like me, and you're going to have to make a choice. Are you going to see a person, or are you going to see what you've been taught to fear?" One recruit raised his hand. "How do we make sure we don't become like Officer Hutchins?" Jaylen smiled, sad but honest. "You question yourself every day, every stop, every interaction. You ask, am I doing this because it's right or because it's easy? Because the moment you stop asking, you become him." Gerald was in FCI Edgefield, medium security, South Carolina. He'd tried to appeal, failed. His lawyer said he might get out in 8 years with good behavior, but his career was over, his reputation destroyed. His legacy was a body cam video that would be shown in training sessions for decades as an example of everything wrong with policing. Jaylen didn't think about him much anymore. Gerald was gone. The system had worked, slowly, imperfectly, but it worked. What Jaylen thought about was the woman at the gas station who recorded the encounter on her phone, the desk sergeant who stood up to Gerald, the captain who didn't cover it up, the jury who believed the evidence. Change didn't happen because one person did the right thing. It happened because enough people refused to look away. 6 months after the trial, Jaylen was promoted to captain, youngest in his battalion. He still wore his dress blues, still stopped at gas stations, still got looks sometimes, but he never backed down, and he never would. One afternoon, he got a call from Patricia Simmons, his lawyer. "Jaylen, I wanted you to know, 3 more complaints have been filed against Memphis PD, all citing your case as the reason they came forward. People who were too scared before, they're not scared anymore." Jaylen sat back, took that in. "Good. You started something." "No,
I just didn't stay quiet. There's a difference." He hung up, looked at the Navy Cross on his desk, thought about the men he'd pulled from that burning Humvee, the ones who didn't make it, the ones who did. They didn't fight so he could be treated like a criminal in his own country. They fought so everyone could be treated with dignity. And if that meant standing up to men like Gerald Hutchins, then that's what he'd do, again and again. Justice wasn't just a verdict, it was a practice, a choice, every single day. Jaylen stood, put on his cover, walked out into the Carolina sun, ready for whatever came next. So what do you think? Do you believe justice was truly served in this case? Would 10 years be enough, or should the consequences have been greater? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe. We need to keep telling these stories, because the moment we stop paying attention is the moment it happens again. Thanks for watching.